What's going on, guys? It's GBP baby. Welcome to another video. It's currently 1:37 a.m. on Monday the 25th of September. This is a late upload, but yeah, we're going to get straight into things. We'll be looking at last week's price action, and I'm going to run through what I'm expecting for the oncoming week. Now, I am going to start with the monthly as per usual. You can see we did trade through the consequent encroachment of the monthly wick here that I was calling out in last week's video. So if we just look at that now, you can see we've actually traded through it, and on the weekly we've actually closed above it. So now that we've closed above that consequent encroachment, my next targets will be looking at this swing high here, and I now have my eye set on this swing high here. Now if we didn't close above this consequent encroachment, it would be a different story, as it was just a target. But like I said, now that you can see that we traded through it, closed above it, so it's now disrespected it. That means we are continuing to disrespect continuing to disrespect bearish PDRAs. So that's more reason as to why we can expect a continuation and push into this fair value gap that's resting above here. Now we do actually have a breaker, high, low, high, high on the monthly, and then it breaks lower, but we're going to look at it on the weekly just so we can have a better look. So let's take a look at that now, and that breaker can be seen here. Got a high, a low, a high, high, and then we break lower. So I don't expect price to trade above this candle here. However, this breaker I do have my eyes set on, so I'm going to draw out that as a range, the low of it, and I'm just going to call it breaker low, weekly breaker low. And then I'm also going to mark out, let's make it 2 pixels, and then I'm also going to make the weekly breaker high as well. And this is the area which I'm anticipating price to want to start to expand towards. Which happens to have the fair value gap resting in between there as well. So I am expecting price to want to start pushing up to that. But first, we do have this bearish order block and these swing highs to actually take out, because we haven't actually taken that out yet. But I do anticipate that those highs to get taken this week. Now this week, it's either going to take out these highs on Monday or Tuesday, or it's going to do it on Thursday or Friday, well, later on in the week. If we take it out on the Monday or Tuesday, I then want to start looking for lower prices, because I'll be expecting some kind of retracement. But I'll update you guys on that in the daily uploads. So here's the weekly bearish order block. I'm going to mark out the open of that, because this is a potential target. We'll make that black, put it in the center, and then we have these targets. So what do we have? We have this buy side liquidity that I want to see get tagged this week. I want to see if we can reach into this weekly bearish open, and then after that I'd probably start looking for some kind of retracement, because after we take out a swing high or swing highs, we can anticipate a run on stops. But in the more longer term, this weekly breaker low and weekly breaker high, I'd expect us to want to draw into that range. But yeah, let's drop down to the daily, and we'll have a look at how price treated that consequent encroachment. You can see we traded through it, wicked through it once, and then on the Friday we closed above it. So now I want to see this continue to act as support. You can see we have a nice fair value gap resting below here. So in terms of manipulation or sell side PDRAs, price may want to draw into this before moving higher, or like I said, it will want to take out the highs first and then come down back to this. If this stays open and we continue to expand higher, this will then be a breakaway gap. However, as I just said, there's a high chance that we'd want to fill that fair value gap first before continuing to move higher for the rest of the week. Let me just move this to the right. So let's keep an eye out on this fair value gap, daily fair value gap, and then obviously after Monday we'll have a much better idea of what to expect. If you remember, this blue line is that monthly consequent encroachment, and it's just interesting to see how price has been consolidating around it. All week last week we consolidated upside, downside, and now we're just continuing to consolidate. So we, like I said, we're either going to expand higher now, or we're going to come down, grab the stops resting below this outside liquidity. There is also a breaker here, low, high, lower low, and then we break higher. So we might want to touch that breaker and then expand higher. The only reason I wouldn't expect this to happen is because of this craziness that happened on the 1 minute. I did make a post in my community tab regarding it, but you can see that this here came down in a 1 minute candle, probably on a 5-second chart as well, and grabbed all the stops resting below here. So technically this breaker isn't really a breaker anymore, because this low got these lows got tagged here, if that makes sense. So originally it was low, high, low, low, and then we break higher, but you can see now it made a lower low here, because this, like I said, took out these stops resting below here, and this is something to consider, because it'll be interesting to see how price action moves continuing this. But let me see if I can show you. So the low of this candle was 104.665, and the low of that flash wick was 104.665 as well. So it touched it the same level, meaning that it's technically being grabbed. It just needs to touch it for it to be grabbed. So with that taken into account, this daily fair value gap that I just marked out doesn't necessarily need to get traded back down into, but we'll see, as I said before, see what Monday gives us. And yeah, let's just move straight on to GBP. So I'm going to start with the monthly again on GBP. You can see we've now had a break in market structure. This swing low being taken is a strong breaking market structure, so I'm just going to mark that out. If you've been watching my backtesting videos, you know I tend to mark out breaking structures. This is a very clear one. So now that we've had this breaking structure, I can start to look for sell side PD arrays, such as this swing low here, and this fair value gap resting here. So I'm going to mark that out now. This is a fair value gap high, and this is a fair value gap low, and I expect price to want to start drawing down into that inefficiency, which is crazy because I didn't actually anticipate price to ever come back down here for a while, but it seems like that's what's going to be happening. You can see we are trading in this bullish order block, but because of the break in market structure, I then anticipate this to also be disrespected, which is why this outside liquidity is looking very juicy. So let's go to the weekly, and we can have a better look at our falling GBP. So you can see we expanded very aggressively through that sell side liquidity. Again, this is hinting to lower prices. Also, this is a breaker, low, high, high. So if we do return back into this swing low, I'd want to be selling from this point, as like I said, I'm anticipating low prices. Now, I don't necessarily expect us to reach the sell side liquidity anytime soon. However, we do have this fair value gap here, which price will likely want to fill, as it's an inefficiency on the daily, and this can be used as a target for GBP. So again, with higher dollar, as I've just shown, I'd want to see lower GBP, and this weekly fair value gaps where I'd like to see price draw to. If we look on the daily, we can see the lows that we just taken out. There's a fair value gap there, so there's potential for price to want to create the high of the week here, or want to refer to it before moving lower. So we can keep our eyes on that as well. And let me just make this say weekly fair value gaps, and then we've got daily fair value gap here. So yeah, obviously we'll see how Monday trades as per usual, but overall I want to see if we can come back into this fair value gap and then start to then continue to trade lower and eventually fill this massive weekly imbalance that we have resting there. So yeah, that's cool. Let's quickly have a look at last week's price action on band. Where was it? It was here. We had a pretty classic week. We Monday consolidation, Tuesday we made the high of the week, And then we started to move lower into Wednesday. There was a lot of manipulation here, but that's because of the Fed rate. We ran right up, failed to take out this swing high because we're in a sell program, so it's going to fail. This is a failure swing. You can see we then broke market structure and we started running lower. Now this fair value gap that I've just marked out, like I said, I would like to see price would return back into that and potentially reach into this area up here, into these wicks more specifically, because we've got a high, low, high, high, and then we've broken lower. So if price wants to reach back up to there before creating the sell for the rest of the week, I would not be surprised at all. Also, there's a swing high here where there's going to be buy side residing, so we can just mark that out as a potential drawn liquidity on buy side. But again, we'll have to see how Monday trades. So yeah, that's everything with GBP. Let's look at also, as we did take out this swing low, if price does take out this buy side liquidity, that would be the run on stops that we should anticipate whenever lows are getting taken. So that's another thing to consider. Let's go to Euro to finish off. And you can see that we've taken out this swing low. We haven't closed below it just yet, but we can anticipate that. And with Euro, we have this massive monthly imbalance fair value gap that we want to see price draw to, so we can mark that out as its next target in terms of monthly and weekly draw liquidity. As long as you have these marked out, you know exactly where price is likely going to want to draw to, and you can continue and you can use that to help frame your trades. So we've got a fair value gap high here. Ooh, where's that gone? And then we've got the fair value gap low here. So let's go to the weekly. You can see we just took out this high. Now again, if you remember from 2 weeks ago, I did talk about this rebalancing happening here, this wick get traded to here. So because of that, I no longer expect price to need to come back up to there. So now I've got my eyes set on this wick specifically for the high of this oncoming week. We can mark out consequent encroachment of it, but let's drop down to the day. Let's drop down to the daily and have a better look. But overall, I do want to see these levels get touched here. So there's sell side liquidity resting below here, sell side resting below here, and then there's obviously the fair value gap high, which I'm anticipating us to start to trade into. But let's go to the daily and see if we can find any inefficiencies that price may want to trade to first. So I would expect price to want to trade into here to create the high of the week on Euro first. Where specifically? That is a difficult question. We do have a fair value gap here, so this will likely want to get filled as an imbalance. You can see we traded to it here, but volume stayed below it, so we want to see how price treats it when it trades back into it. So we can use that as a draw, and then let me just mark this out as rebalanced, and we'll make it black just to grey it out, or we'll make it grey to show that it's greyed out. And then in terms of sell side, I want to see us continue to expand lower, and there isn't actually any daily inefficiencies like we did find on pound, which is quite interesting. Maybe if we drop to the 4 hour, we might find something, but what I'm looking for is any kind of inefficiency that price may likely want to draw to, so that we have a target set, because although we have the sell side liquidity set, price is either trading to highs or inefficiencies. So on some kind of time frame, we should be able to identify a PD array that we want price to trade to, but I do not see any right now. But yeah, we'll see how Monday trades as per usual, so I'll be back tomorrow. But overall, I'm expecting higher dollar and GBP and lower GBP and Euro for the rest of the week. After Monday, we can have a much more in-depth look, figure out where we're likely to see the highs of the week get made, or what imbalances get traded to, and everything should be good. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.